Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time to talk about a topic that people just like to ignore and shy away from. I have to ask it though, how are your taxes looking this year? Just kidding. Oh, by the way, the IRS is gonna kick me in the nuts at the end of the year, so I'm not looking forward to that. I'm of course not talking about taxes. I'm talking about Magic the Gathering and other people's perception of it. A lot of people are super chill and, like to be polite about it, but it still kind of has this stigma that it's like a geeky game. It's played by guys, which somehow that's a negative. Oh, it's like, oh, you like to go deer hunting? It's, it's traditional male sport, if you want to call it that, activity, hobby, whatever. I heard that's a guy's activity. Like, I don't even understand that. And, I've seen the opposite too. I've seen people say, oh my gosh, a girl is playing Magic, but yeah, get over it. They honestly, from what I heard, this is before my time, Wizards marketed the game at like a certain age and demographic of males. And that's just what they did. So that's what the result was. But yeah, that's the stereotype. It's just a bunch of geeky, dorky, fat guys wearing fedoras with neck beards who also play Dungeons and Dragons, which obviously that's not far off. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons is owned by a little company called Wizards of the Coast. Perhaps you've heard of them. And yes, I play D&D as well. I mean, they're not wrong, but they are wrong about like the type of people that show up, and they're not 100% far off. It is kind of quirky, weird, geeky, nerdy people, and they are kind of a certain group. Like a lot of people at F&M like to watch anime. A lot of people go to Comic-Con. We do fit into like a certain stereotype. Not everybody. I've had some people who are like the exact like high school clique opposite of who would be playing MTG. They're like they're like the football star, the quarterback at the local high school, and they don't do any other geeky activities, but they play Magic. So there really are a ton of exceptions, and even just the age range of who shows up to play Magic is, surprising to people. But even if, the perception, the stereotype was 100% accurate, 100% of people who played Magic were like obese, like in their 20s males that also play video games and watch anime or whatever, the geek culture type of person. Yeah, so what? Who cares? You ever go watch golf? It's all 50-year-old white dudes. And I can't really use that as an example because people do complain about it and say it's weird. But so what? Like, so a bunch of geeky people want to get together and play Magic, and, a lot of them share stuff in common. Like, how is that even a bad thing? Like, how are people making fun of that? I guess it comes down to the perception of geeks in general, that we're like antisocial, awkward to be around, and, if you get a big group of us, that's just somewhere where nobody wants to be but ourselves. Once again, not 100% incorrect, but incorrect enough that people should stop having that perception. So, when somebody says, oh, Magic, you play Magic? Isn't that, that game? Or my cousin plays that, and he's a total geek. That's like one of those geeky games, isn't it? And a lot of times people like get it confused with like Force of Will and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. They're like, oh, that's that anime game, isn't it? I'm like, no, not really. It's more like fantasy, like RPG stuff. Well, honestly, it's kind of like based on Dungeons and Dragons, even though Wizards won't admit it. But then again, even that was like based on like, the Lord of the Rings books and stuff like that. So, whatever. But when people start saying, oh, you play that game, that's what those types of people play. I say, hey, when we show up to Friday Night Magic every Friday at the tournament, there's 12-year-olds, there's 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, high schoolers, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. There's a couple girls that show up. I mean, it's just everybody. It's just like, it's like so huge. And I tell them there's about 20 million players and it's the number one game in the world as far as trading card games goes. Then I immediately tell them, hey, it's kind of like, kind of like chess. It's like real intellectual, but it's still like fun, because there's more story behind it and it's more fun to play. Basically, they got 20 hit points. I got 20 hit points. We both bring out like creatures and then attack and swing and block and try to get the other guy down to 0. And it's real simple. And then they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've kind of played a game like that. Or, hey, that sounds like a video game. Or, that sounds like Risk or something. Or Stratego, which it totally doesn't. Actually, I think it gets kind of similar to Stratego. I haven't played that in a while. So then they can identify with it, and it sounds like less of like a cryptic thing that they know nothing about except for geeks play it, and more like, oh, that's a really common activity that a ton of people do, and it's gigantic. It does make it sound more mainstream, more regular, and it's like, why should I even have to do that? Well, it's because people don't have a good opinion of geeks. Like I said, they think that they're just like weird, just generally weird, and yeah, we are a little weird. I'm extremely weird, personally. If you think I'm weird on my YouTube channel, you should meet me in real life. I am 10 times as weird. I do sort of get the negative impression of geeks, but it just usually comes down to most like non-geeky people who are just into boring normal stuff. I hate to use that term, but I'll just say boring stuff. They have boring interests, like boring average people. They go home and make a sandwich and watch Wheel of Fortune while I'm I don't know, probably also making a sandwich but then looking up like solid metal Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. Oh, and custom 3D printed ones. You can get those now. Those are pretty cool. But so what? Are we really that different? I used to work in IT and I absolutely hate people and I'm antisocial. Other than that, not that different from anybody else. But if people hang out with their circle and I hang out with my circle and the only geek they ever met is one person and they're like, wow, that person's weird and I hate them. Yeah, then they're going to think everything geeky, every activity geeky, and every group of geeks getting together to do anything is a bad thing. And we should be shamed for it, apparently. The most confusing part of that is that there's so many other groups that deserve, like, people looking down their nose about you being a member of it. I was going to make fun of furries again, but I got so much crap last time. So let's say the KKK, okay? If you're going to complain about me making fun of the KKK, I'm just going to ban you from the comment section. So when Saturday rolls around and you decide, what should I do today? I know, I'm going to go with my favorite hobby, hanging out with my people in white hoods and saying that minorities are ruining the country. If that's your hobby, you deserve to get a little hate about that. If people are like, oh, you were at the KKK meeting? I don't approve of that. That's terrible. You probably shouldn't be doing that. I've heard similar things about Magic the Gathering. It's like, hello, focus your efforts on groups that actually deserve it. If I tell somebody, hey, I play Magic the Gathering, it's a big popular card game, and, yeah, it's kind of geeky, whatever, we all get together and play it every week. People should just be like, hey, that's cool. You have your interests, I have mine. You're not hurting anybody. I am yet to honestly actually hurt somebody at F&M. I know that's surprising to you guys. But if you say, hey, on Sunday I went to a convention of people who think that the earth is flat. No, it's not, hey, you have your interests and I have mine. It's, hey, you're an idiot and everybody you hang out with is an idiot. Oh, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I flew down to Dallas, Texas, or wherever it was. I don't even remember. And I hand out conspiracy theory pamphlets about aliens shooting JFK and JFK traveling through time. Yeah, guess what? You're a nutcase. Maybe you should be playing MTG instead, you crazy person. So I don't know if you guys have ever gotten that reaction where, you say, hey, yeah, where were you on Friday? Oh, I was out playing Magic the Gathering. What was the response you got? Because I would say, honestly, maybe 80% of people are like, oh, what's that? Or, oh, my friend plays that. Oh, that's kind of cool, whatever. Intellectual hobby, yeah, whatever. They don't know much about it, but what they do know, they stay respectful about it and are just, easygoing. But I'd say at least 10 to 20% are like, oh, you play Magic? Oh, I know somebody plays that, and they're super weird. They're super geeky. That must be like a nerd game. They don't usually outright say that because I would, knock them out. But you can tell, they're like, oh, you play that game? Isn't that where you stand around in robes and chant and it's all satanic? No, it's not. It's sometimes it's just plain old misinformation. No offense to anybody who does wear a robe to F&M, by the way. Cosplay for life. Dude, I would make a sick Jace Beleren if I had a different color hair, which apparently you all think I have dark hair. I still don't even understand that. Apparently, I sound like I have dark hair because that's a thing. Dude, some of you guys are pretty weird, just saying. But yeah, I would say that the number one misconception is they know somebody who plays Magic and they're weird as hell, and so now automatically we're all weird as hell. Or two, complete misinformation about the game. Those are the two main reasons that people have given me a negative response to me saying that I play Magic. And like I said before, a tiny sliver are just, they don't like geeks, they don't like geeky people, maybe they just don't like smart people, maybe they're sick of smart people in high school outscoring them on tests and they've never liked geeky intellectual stuff ever since. Well, let me just remind you that that's on them, they're the one with the problem. It's yeah, I have a really super high IQ, but guess what, I also wrote that software you're using, so get over it. So those people who just don't like people like us, the geeky type of people, which, yeah, I'm not even saying all MTG players are geeky, but in general. But if they don't like geeky kind of people or kind of geek hobbies, nothing's really going to change their mind, so you might as well just let them be haters because as the saying goes, haters gonna hate. There's certain types of groups and people who do certain activities that I absolutely do not agree with or do not like. Nothing's going to change my mind about that either. So if somebody just has something against us, whatever. But for the rest of the people, as I said earlier, just explain to them, hey, 20 million players, all kinds of ages, all kinds of genders, all kinds of people show up to F&M. It's not just geeky people. Yeah, it's a little geeky, but honestly, it's like a 3 out of 10 on the geek scale. It's pretty mainstream compared to other stuff, even compared to like Dungeons and Dragons, because if you go full-blown role-playing, which even my group, we don't take it seriously at all. My level 28 ranger's name is Sunny Archer, and he uses a Radiant Greatbow. I mean, then you got like the Renaissance Fair folks, and you got like the LARPers. LARPers are a 10 out of 10 on the geek scale, but there ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with LARPing. People make fun of LARPing. They're like, oh, we're gonna go run around in the woods, full-blown cosplay and pretend to be fighting each other. Why the hell not? I mean, why is there nothing wrong with like Civil War reenactments? LARPing is basically geeky paintball, so like, get over it. But it absolutely is way geekier than Magic the Gathering. So I tell people, hey, I do it as a business at my shop. I sell the cards, open them, process them, sell them, full play sets, whatever. And I would say 90% of the time when you tell people about Magic, just give them the 15-second, little quick summary of what the game is all about, who plays it, that kind of stuff. That is enough to instantly convince them that, yeah, it's normal people. It's not like a weird activity. It's not for any reason to be frowned upon. Unless you're like one of those people who gets way too mad playing or you spent way more money than you have on the game, there's nothing wrong with it. So I just tell people more about it and then they stop hating on it. The small group of people who are just convinced that we're all geeks and geeks are awful and whatever, just let it go. Or pepper spray them in the face and tase them in the nuts. One of the two. I'm just saying that there's options. I don't know if you guys got the impression yet or not on my channel, but I don't really like haters of any kind. But just remember that no matter how different or how differing the opinions are on your activities and playing Magic that you find with another person when you're talking about it, we can all find common ground in the fight against those freaky clowns, man. These clowns, man. In case you don't follow me on Twitter, my girlfriend said that, boy, I really should have clarified this with her because I didn't understand what she said, but either she personally saw a clown driving back from wherever she was, or she had to drive through a place where somebody had very recently or that night saw some creepy clown wielding a weapon. Okay, I didn't like the idea of clowns, creeping on people and kidnapping people and stealing people's kids and luring children into the woods and carrying machetes and guns and breaking into people's houses. I know, I'm so totally in the minority on that. But now that it affects me personally and somebody I actually care about, now we've got a problem. Dude, if we're chilling together and I see a clown and he's got a weapon, one step towards me, there's gonna be a bullet in his head. And see, everybody's like, oh, you're too obsessed with clowns. Okay, a mime comes at me with a machete, I'll shoot him. Somebody dressed up as a pirate comes at me with a machete, I'm gonna shoot him. Somebody dressed up as a furry comes at me with a machete, I'm gonna shoot him and then load the second mag and shoot him some more. I don't discriminate, it's not just clowns, it's the threat, it's the safety threat that they represent. This video just went way off the rails, but you know what else is completely out of control too? This freaking clown problem. Seriously, you really should have seen it coming that time. So watch out for evil clowns, watch out for haters, and for everybody else, just remember, try to spread information about MTG. It's really just a lack of information that makes the general public make fun of us for whatever reason. You don't necessarily need to invite them to play Magic, that might be a little too upfront, but, just tell them, hey, normal people play it, everybody plays it, it's huge, it's not like some weird thing that only weirdos do. That would be the furry convention attendees that they're thinking of. That's right, I'm going hard on furries, those people are creepy. Hopefully you guys can help dissipate any kind of negativity towards MTG, and I will see you guys next video.